If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com. The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Speaking of leading economists, how about if we talk to probably the most influential and famous economist in the world? And I'm not exaggerating here. Our next guest is my great mentor, Arthur B. Laffer, who taught me economics. Arthur, thanks so much for joining.
My pleasure, Steve. I love that music as you come into the show. Wow, I was dancing here.
Well, we worked hard on that.
Going for it.
So, a lot I wanted to cover in just a short time, Arthur, and I know you're off to Europe next week to try to turn around the European economy. God love you for trying to do that.
There you go.
Let us start with a question you get asked all the time, but I think our listeners would love to hear your answer to this. You have worked for two of the great presidents of modern times, Ronald Reagan. You were one of his chief economists. And of course, you're an informal advisor to Donald Trump. You're in the Oval Office with him often. How are they different and how are they the same? Because they've both been so successful on the economy.
Yeah, well, they both have the same set of policies: tax cuts, spending restraint, sound money, minimal regulations, free trade, and peace through strength. I mean, both of them were very much, now their styles were very different, Steve.
Yeah.
But their policies weren't. And it's all policy. I mean, it's all policy. That's all that matters. And they're both really great presidents, two best presidents, I think, in U.S. history.
I'd certainly say in my lifetime, they've been the two greatest. I mean, Clinton was a pretty good president too, but there's no question that those two, in terms of the economy, have been fantastic. A couple of quick questions. Is Donald Trump a supply sider?
Yes, but he's much more. He's much more than that. He's also an incentivizer. Right. And sometimes supply sides is what you respond to in the system. And he's good on tax cuts. He's good on spending restraint, work requirements, all of that. He's really good on all of that. But he also knows how to negotiate. And there he's using incentives to get people to behave correctly. And Reagan did that too, by the way. I mean, in our area of economics, Steve, he's a supply sider, but everywhere else, he's a phenomenal CEO. And that's what I love about Donald Trump.
Yeah, me too. And you and I both in the Oval Office many times with Trump. You much more often than I have.
No,
one of the things that I find striking is, and we've been in the Oval Office together with him, and he's always very curious and always asking you about Reagan, because I think he recognizes what a great president Reagan was, and I think he wants to even be a greater president Reagan.
Yeah, I think he does too. And it's wonderful that these presidents have ambitions, and that's what drives them to be so damn good. Is they really want to do a good job, and they want to feel that they are doing a good job, and they want you to recognize that they're doing a good job. I see these stupid people outside now doing no kings and no dictators, and all that. Right. Well, what the hell? Why shouldn't we have someone who knows how to run a ship and knows how to run a government, knows how to do that? You can't be out listening to polls every hour of every day. You've got to sit there and do some stuff. Yeah. And that's what Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan did. They did stuff and they made it stick, and they had peace through strength, which is as important as economics.
Huge. So one of the things that you've said that kind of surprises people, you've told me this, Arthur, and explain this to our listeners if you would. You say that Donald Trump believes in free trade.
Yeah, well, he's using tariffs and quotas and non-tariff barriers to negotiate freer trade. We're about the freest trade large country in the world. And, he's bringing them to the table to negotiate better deals, just the way he did in his first term. I mean, USMCA was pretty darn good. He had a great deal with Japan and South Korea. He had a good deal with Brazil and Colombia. All of them reduced tariffs, reduced barriers to trade. So I think he's negotiating for free trade everywhere. And he's a negotiator. He does a great. You heard what he did with Malay.
Yes.
When Malay was up, I mean, that's all incentive supply side economics. All of it, just great.
So, if you're a businessman, you have to understand the value of trade and comparative advantage, right?
Of course. And you have to understand the difference between a CEO and a pollster. And a CEO gets stuff done. And that's what Trump does. And, when you put troops into Chicago or you put troops, you disincentivize crime. Yeah. Now, is that a poll? Did you take a poll to do that? Absolutely not. But you put the troops into Memphis and people stop being killed. People stop being murdered and robbed and all that. That's just all he's doing is just running it like a business. I mean, if your office were being ransacked, you'd get the guards in there to get the guys out. And that's all he's doing.
Yeah. Well, crime is like a tax, right?
Well, it's even worse. It kills you.
Yeah, right.
And it gets those boats coming in off Venezuela. I mean, bam, that's the end of that problem with methamphetamine being snuck in. We got a minute. Incentives are positive and negative, and he knows how to use both.
Amen. So we got a minute and a half left. I'm talking to the great Arthur Laffer, who should have won the Nobel Prize because he is the most influential economist in the world. One last thing, Arthur, in our last 75 seconds here. New York City is some of the political candidates are talking about raising tax rates even more in New York City and in New Jersey. Those two states aren't doing very well. Is this the solution to their problems?
No, it's wrong. And just very quickly, we have a huge historical record of what happens when you raise tax rates on the rich. And three things happen when you raise tax rates on the rich. Number one, the economy underperforms, which is what you're talking about. Yes. Number two, the tax revenues from the rich go down because they leave or they don't report it or whatever.
So you're saying you even when the rate goes up, you can actually find the evidence that the revenues go down?
Every single time. time. And lastly, when you raise tax on the rich, the poor get hammered. I mean, the poor get hammered because they don't have jobs, they don't have places to go, they don't have people to keep it up. So it is not only wrong, it's wrong, and it's immoral and vulgar and should never be tolerated. The rich are our friends. The dream is to make the poor richer, not to make the rich poorer. And that's just simple. We're all in this tub together, as Kennedy made it very clear. A rising tide raises all boats.
And tell people what state you live in.
I live in Tennessee, which is the lowest tax state in the nation. Duh. Don't tell them which state you live in.
You're right. I live in Maryland. We're one of the highest tax states. Anyway, Arthur Laffer, thank you so much for joining. Please straighten out the Europeans when you're there next week and the Brits because they could sure use your help.
Thanks for listening to More Money with Steve Moore. You can hear More Money with Steve Moore Saturday afternoons at 1. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.